The Siege of Vraks was a significant campaign by the Imperium to reclaim the world from traitorous forces and later from chaos. It started with Cardinal-Astra Xaphan gaining power on Vraks, leading to a conflict with the Imperium. The Ordo Hereticus attempted to assassinate Xaphan, but the failed attempt triggered a revolt on Vraks. The 88th Imperial Guard Siege Army, led by Lord Commander Zuelk, was deployed to retake the planet. Xaphan's forces, including the Disciples of Xaphan and traitorous militia, defended Vraks. The siege began with the 88th Siege Armies landing on the planet in the year 812 of the 41st millennium. The killing fields of Vraks began with a heavy artillery bombardment by Krieg regiments on rebel positions in the Van Meersland's wastes. The Krieg forces, despite facing significant casualties, launched an assault on the defences over 2 days. Weeks of hard fighting resulted in capturing some outer trench lines at a high cost. The Battle of Fort A453 marked the first major pitched battle, with Krieg grenadiers and armoured forces achieving a breakthrough. The subsequent enemy counterattack after 2 years of war led to the fall of the Northern Sector, disrupting Lord Zuelk's plan. The Krieg forces managed to stall the enemy counteroffensive after days of tank combat. A new challenge emerged when Alpha Legion Chaos Space Marines joined the Vraxian Renegades. The Dark Angels chapter intervened, mobilizing half of their chapter led by Supreme Grandmaster Azrael. They landed near Vraks starport, achieving initial objectives but faced an ambush by the Alpha Legion. Despite losses, the Imperium managed to claim the spaceport. The relentless cycles of offensive, counter-offensive, and trench warfare persisted for 7 years, with millions killed on both sides. The Dark Angels' involvement hinted at hidden motives, and the Alpha Legion's presence added complexity to the conflict on Vraks. The chaos unleashed on Vraks was initiated when the Berserkers of Skalathrax, a World Eater's warband, launched a Dreadclaw assault from the battleship Blood Dawn. Their target was the rear of the encircling Krieg regiments around the primary fortress of Vraks. Chaos forces, including Khorne Berserkers, launched a fierce orbital bombardment and ground assault. The Chaos Fleet deployed various Chaos Space Marine warbands, traitor titans, and hordes of cultists and mutants. Xaphan lost control, and Nurgle-affiliated warbands like the Purge and Lords of Decay wreaked havoc with a deadly chemical weapon. The Krieg forces faced total defeat, attacked on all sides. Lord Commander Zuelk was replaced by Marshal Amim Kargari, who gathered a relief force comprising of Titans and fresh regiments from Krieg. Meanwhile, Chaos forces assumed direct control, and various Chaos Space Marine warlords led the charge. Nurgle forces unleashed their deadly chemical weapon, causing havoc among the Krieg regiments. Battlefleet Scarus arrived to find no enemy vessels in orbit, thinking the war won. But the Alpha Legion battleship Anarchy's Heart attempted an ambush. The Imperium's relief force, led by fresh Krieg regiments and Titans, established a foothold on Vraks, initiating the Kargari offensive. The Loyalists then won battles against traitor Titans, forcing a withdrawal. The war evolved with both sides digging in for attrition-based warfare. Marshal Kagori employed Death Corps engineers to tunnel under enemy positions, creating a major theatre of underground fighting. Air battles also intensified, with Chaos and Imperial forces vying for air superiority. Kagori organised a massive offensive, including artillery barrages and Gorgon APC assaults. Despite localised successes, the overall planetary situation remained grim. Facing a deadlock, Kagori attempted to recruit Adeptus Astartes from the Red Scorpions chapter in a desperate bid to gain an advantage in the prolonged conflict. The Administratum's loss of faith led to the withdrawal of vital regiments, prolonging the campaign further. The war on Vraks became a desperate struggle for both sides with no decisive end in sight. The Angels of Death, represented by the Red Scorpions, joined the war effort on Vraks, landing at Sector 5744 to create a decisive breakthrough. In their operation, the Red Scorpions caught the enemy off guard, defeating Chaos Ogryns and securing the breach. Chaos forces organised a counter-attack, including Chaos Titans, but Loyalist Titans successfully repelled them. With the breach secured, only the central fortress of Vraks remained in the way of the Imperium. As ill omens and portents hinted at an impending demonic incursion, the Ordo Malleus investigated. Lord Inquisitor Hector Rex assumed command, negotiating with the 88th Siege Army to lead the war effort. The Grey Knights and Red Hunters Space Marine chapters joined the Ordo Malleus forces, making the Siege of Vraks a major front for the Inquisition. The final assault on the central fortress was planned with heavy resistance expected. Lord Rex aimed to encircle the citadel and gradually shrink the traitor force's pocket. The Krieg 30th Line Corps faced a challenging advance through the Death Guard Space Marine warbands, demon engines, chemical warfare, and twisted spawns of Nurgle. Stalemates were broken with the use of chemical weapons, but progress was slow. The Chaos Space Marine warbands became divided over supplies as Imperial forces pressed onward. A coup led by the Skulltaker's Lord Zufor shifted the leadership among the renegade warbands on Vraks. Zufor, allied with Arcos and the Alpha Legion, became the supreme warlord, overthrowing Cardinal-Astra Xaphan. Lord Rex attacked Hangman's Hill to disable defense laser batteries, facing challenges but securing victories. Despite setbacks, including the withdrawal of regiments, Rex continued the advance in the battle for Gate 579459, overcoming Cornate Berserkers and Chaos Terminators through sheer numbers and armoured thrusts. With Gate 579459 secured, the 88th Siege Army prepared for the final assault on the formidable Vraks citadel. Facing murder slopes and potential demons summoned by Chaos Space Marines, Lord Inquisitor Hector Rex planned 3 primary attacks from different directions. The Gorgon advance initiated the attack, unloading Krieg Guardsmen onto the murder slopes, supported by tanks, artillery, and air power. Fierce resistance led to enormous losses for the Krieg troops, but continuous bombardment overwhelmed the citadel's void shields. As guardsmen reached the murder slopes, they faced a deceptive ploy by enemy troops within the citadel's walls, resulting in a 7-day battle for a central ravine. Even Titan intervention couldn't secure victory for the Imperium. Again, realizing the need for Adeptus Astartes intervention, Rex deployed the Red Hunters from high orbit. However, the Red Hunters fell into a trap, surrounded and annihilated. Several more attacks by Krieg forces ensued, resulting in the loss of 2 entire regiments. The offensive on the ravine was called off a day later. Rex organised a force of 68 Marauder bombers before launching a new assault on the ravine. Heavy air power combined with classic Krieg tactics and a major Titan offensive finally secured the ravine for the Imperium. Krieg guardsmen pushed forward along the entire front, almost reaching the walls. Facing a heavy counterattack from the Black Brothers of Arias, positions among the walls changed hands 6 times in a day. The Sanctified then unleashed their demon engines through sacrificial rituals. On the second day, a new offensive led by the Grey Knights and Lord Rex himself combated the demonic forces, securing the lower gate spur and defeating additional enemy counterattacks. This marked the first victory in the last battle for Vraks. Exploiting gains in the lower gate, the Red Scorpions engaged traitor forces in the battle for St. Leonis Gate, a primary entrance to the Vraks citadel. Led by their land raiders, the Red Scorpions drove the enemy back, but the Sanctified completed a ritual, opening a warp rift from which demons emerged. Despite the onslaught of bloodletters, fleshhounds and juggernauts, the Red Scorpions held firm. In the battle for the Cardinal's Gate, Grey Knights faced demonic resistance, culminating in a duel against the mighty bloodthirster Angrath. Lord Inquisitor Hector Rex faced the beast alone, plunging his sword into its heart and banishing it back to the warp. As the siege neared its end, the Angels of Absolution chapter, under the Dark Angel's Supreme Grandmaster's leadership, arrived to aid the Imperial forces. Assaulting Alpha Legion positions, they captured Arcos after he slew Master Yafria and destroyed his flagship Anarchy's Heart. Meanwhile, the final attack on the citadel occurred, with artillery pounding the complex and underground Krieg engineers creating breaches for the troops. Lord Rex led the final clearing sweeps with the Red Scorpions and Grey Knights, discovering the remains of Cardinal Xaphan had been turned into a chaos spawn and tortured Sisters of Battle in the dungeons. With the war seemingly lost, Zufar and his forces departed through warp rifts, summoning the Demon Prince Uraka as Baramael. Grey Knights, led by Brother Captain Stern, teleported in from orbit, banishing Uraka after a fierce struggle. Combining their psychic might, the Grey Knights sealed the warp rift in the central citadel, marking the end of the final battle and the war on Vraks. In the year 830 of the 41st millennium, the protracted Siege of Vraks came to its official conclusion. The toll of the conflict was staggering, with 14 million Krieg guardsmen and an additional multitudes of Space Marines, Titan Princeps, and Inquisitorial forces sacrificing their lives. The primary objective, the recapture of the planet from the rogue Cardinal Xaphan and the restoration of control over its vast armories, was theoretically achieved. However, the victory was bittersweet, as the insidious taint of chaos persisted, leading to the imposing of a quarantine by the Inquisition. Despite being back under Imperial control, Vraks had been ravaged beyond redemption. Its once thriving armories crucial to the war effort lay depleted and useless. Consequently, the planet, now reduced to a desolate wasteland, held little strategic or material value. The Inquisition, wary of the lingering corruption, sealed off Vraks from the rest of the Imperium. The quarantine aimed to prevent any remnants of chaos from spreading and to contain the dark legacy left behind by the prolonged conflict. In the aftermath of the war, the Ordo Malleus diligently undertook extensive reviews and analysis of the events that transpired during the brutal war on Vraks. The scars left on the planet served as a grim testament to the sacrifices made and the enduring struggle against the forces of chaos.